So listen, you're on the cover of next month's Flux, and you owe me an interview, remember? You maul a semi-famous rock star and literally try to eat her face off.
So what's your point?
Everybody who's anybody knows it happened, yet nobody's got the story. I want this, and when I want something, I don't stop until I get it.
Julia, I need you to leave.
911, what's your emergency?
Julia? What happened?
You happened!
You can't have her.
Stay back! Devin, you hearing me? Earth to Devin.
Well, listen, Matthew, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me. It is a pleasure to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay too. Not too bad. Cannot complain. Bit of a late one last night with a show, but still, it's Sunday. It's chill.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, we had a cast and crew screening last night for this movie, so we were up a while. So.
Oh, wow, amazing! How was that?
It went really well. Most of the cast and crew members had not seen it. I think only myself and my producer Jake and Lene Heineman, one of the co-stars, had seen the thing all the way through, and yeah, people dug it. It was awesome.
Oh, that's incredible, incredible. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but for now, 2023
Sure, yeah.
overall, how has it been for you so far? Have you been able to keep yourself particularly busy this year?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I'm busier this year than I've been for quite a while. I mean, not necessarily with movie stuff. That's keeping me pretty busy, but also life. Life has been busier this year, just in general, than I would say the last, I don't know, 5. So it's been a lot, but it's been great. We're really excited to start doing festival stuff and getting this movie out here. So I think things will get even busier, and that's good.
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, of course, it's amazing, but why do you think that is? Do you think you've seen an influx of busyness coming out of the COVID years and the restrictions that existed across the whole world, really, in different ways and different places?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Another thing for me, just personally, is my girlfriend and I were like moving, and I'm also a journalist in my day job. So I and as you probably know, that's a job where you're never really off. You're always on. So my weeks are looking a lot different, and I'm a lot busier, and I'm also trying to do film things on top of that and get a new home, and it's just adult life. sometimes,
Yeah,
sometimes it compounds.
that is a lot on your plate. But you sound incredibly positive about it, so that's
Yeah,
all that matters.
I'm super happy. I couldn't be happier.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your particular field in the journalism aspect?
Oh man, I'm a reporter for a Southern Illinois newspaper, and I cover pretty much everything. I mean, not just one thing. So it's like newspaper journalism. I know newspapers are kind of going out the window as things continue to go online, but I love it. I love doing that work. It's awesome.
Incredible, amazing. Well, before we get into your excellent horror short, Real Cool Time, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, in particular, how you got started in filmmaking. Where the first seeds bloomed.
Yeah, sure. So I made my first film in 2003, so I've been doing it 20 years now. And I say my first film, but it was really just me and my friends, in the woods with a camera. But I'd always loved movies. I'd always loved stories. I'd always been infatuated with, just stuff I'd see on TV or, music, obviously, which plays a huge role in all of my art. But I never really thought it was like something I could actually do. It felt like a million miles away, like it was on another planet. And until I was in high school, and I came across a short fan film called Jason versus Leatherface. I was
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for the comic book, and I was really like into finding that book, comic book. And instead of finding that, I found this short that this filmmaker, just made a real DIY. It was pretty raw, rough around the edges little movie that
Mm.
this person just wanted to make. And I thought, wow, if this guy can do it, maybe I can too. So that summer, I borrowed a camera from a friend's mother, my friend's mom, and got some friends and went out in the woods and hacked them to pieces, and obviously in the film. And I just kind of got the bug for filmmaking, and it really hasn't left me. So that's kind of how it started, and I've just never really stopped. My life has just kind of been a series of film cycles. I'm either writing, in production, in post, promoting, or starting all over again. And I love it. I don't know. I really can't imagine life without that cycle. I don't know. I don't think I know what to do with myself.
Well, finding the time, I mean, we talked about busy lives at the start of this, but finding the time to be able to put all the ideas into reality, is that what you say is one of the biggest challenges you've found in making movies?
Well, it is now. It's definitely going
Mm,
to be moving forward because, as I said, as I'm growing older, I'm getting more busy and or getting busier, I guess is the right way to say that. And in the past, I mean, I would just make the time. I had
mm,
less responsibility, I think. So the movie that I made before Real Cool Time,
yeah,
Morbid Colors, which
yeah.
I'm not sure if you knew, but Real Cool Time is like a follow-up to that film. That
Okay.
was a 5-year process of just constant work.
Mm,
And I think with Real Cool Time and what I plan to do in the future, at least for the time being, I'm kind of looking at like smaller commitments. So like Real Cool
right.
Time, ultimately we kicked that out in like 6 months. So I wrote it, we shot it in October of last year on my birthday, actually, and then by March it was done. And that, I think, at least for the time being, like while I'm kind of reacclimating to getting back into journalism, doing adult stuff, short films might be more where I'm at for the time, just for now. But I'm sure before long I'll be devoting another 5 years to a project because I don't know how to not do that kind of stuff.
I mean, there are some of the best horror in particular we've seen in the last few years comes from the short aspect more than the actual full length, and certainly where a lot of originality seems to exist these days, which is
Sure.
no easy thing. It's a real
Right.
struggle, but getting attention on a project is one of the harder aspects. How do you deal with that challenge, getting attention to your content?
Ooh, yeah, it's tough because I mean, by no means am I like the hustle of doing it and getting it out there is something I'm still, if I'm being honest, in the process of learning. I mean, when you do film or any kind of art, you're always in the process of learning. But
Hmm.
I am in an early stage, I'd say, of really figuring out how to get things out there. Like Morbid Colors was the second film that I'd had distributed.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I'm starting to like get more comfortable with and see what that can do for a film. And obviously we try to promote as best we can on social media, which is
Hmm.
a huge tool, and film festivals, of course, and then distribution, and just try to find the best home for your art, and with people that believe in it and believe in your work and believe in the project and believe in the vision, and will put their vehicle behind getting it as far out there as they can. And I've had different experiences so far with distribution, none of them bad, just different. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy with what happened with Morbid Colors. I feel like Bayview Entertainment, the distribution company that put that film out and distributed it, did a great job with it and really put some wheels on it and got it farther than I think I thought it would go. So
Hmm.
still learning, still a lot to master about how to get things out there in a very effective way. But I'm very happy with what we've done so far. So I hope to only grow and build from here as we keep going. And always keep learning, new ways, new methods, things that work, things that don't,
Well,
just
yeah,
try to
it's
be a
never.
student.
It is an ever-changing world as well. You
Yeah,
talk about social media and that aspect. It's so key to, from a musical side of things, often so key to pushing a band out there on music and stuff like that. Whereas
sure.
on the film side of things, it's not always used, particularly on a lower budget and smaller and more independent movies. It
Right.
doesn't always seem like it's used as productively. Are you acutely aware that you need to use social media better, or do you think you're using it to the best of your abilities at the moment?
Oh gosh. It's hard to say because I got to admit I have a great community of people around me, and
Cool.
the people that I make films with, we're kind of like a little film family, and I
Hmm.
am not that internet savvy.
Hmm.
I am not a tech person. I am not a social media person per se. So I enlist people within my group that are to kind of handle that.
Yep.
Not necessarily for, I mean, of course I have input on it and I
Hmm.
want to help as best as I can, but I think we're doing the best we can now, but I think we understand that it's super important because,
Yes.
people are gonna, so many more people are gonna know about that film or see that film because of its internet or online presence
Yeah.
than they ever would have any other way. I think it's something, whether we love it, whether we hate it, whether we're fluent in it, whether we're still learning, like me, it's something
Hmm.
we have to master or do our best to master at this point in the game because everybody's online. That's how
Yeah.
so many people get their information. I mean, uh, yeah, and it's imperative. So
It's the reach as well. I mean,
yeah,
I'm in the UK. I'm sitting here right now in London speaking to you via Zoom and having seen it and heard about it and so on. It's that reach, isn't it? It's being able to, you wouldn't be able to necessarily reach the corners of, say, my country or other countries in Europe and so on without the film being promoted and pushed online.
100%. Yeah, it's given us a lot of opportunities we would not have otherwise had. That's why I'm
Mm,
you know allowing my friends and colleagues who are good at it
yeah.
to take the reins and also try to learn a thing or two in the process because I'm an old soul, we'll say. I know that technology is super important, but like I think it was only a few years ago that I got a smartphone. I mean, I was using the little flip phone with the huge buttons forever. So yeah, I'm always late to the game on just about everything. So
So no TikTok for you then.
no TikTok, no Snapchat. I only just got an Instagram because we made one for the Real Cool Time page. And again, I know that like I need to be much better about it. I'm going to try to be as we move forward, but
Yeah.
slow and sure, getting there.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, we discussed challenges there, but I want to kind of switch it up to something more positive, which is
Okay.
what has been some of the most rewarding aspects for you personally in
Uh-huh.
filmmaking to date?
The community,
Yeah.
I would say, has been I definitely in the last like 6 years. When we did Morbid Colors and then went into this film that we're talking about today, I we kind of built like this movie family, and that's been at least in the last decade or so. That's been one of the most rewarding things about this whole thing is just to be able to create with people you love and to grow with them and to expand
Mm,
that group and community and just create with your favorite people. That's
yeah.
been awesome. Another thing I would just say is, I mean, I'm of the breed that if my movie goes out, one person sees it, one person digs it, and they get something out of it, I've done my job.
Mm,
So to see more than one person out there in the world who's responded to say Morbid Colors or this movie or Margot, the feature film I did before Morbid
yeah.
Colors, somebody say, hey, I really like this movie, or hey, this made me want to pick up a camera. That's the best thing I think you could ever get. So
That's incredible to hear. So, real cool time. This,
yeah,
of
real
course,
cool
is
time.
Yeah, this, of course, is your new horror short, summed up quite nicely with the IMDb blurb, which I'm just going to quickly read out. A stubborn, unwelcome journalist's late-night visit to the home of a haunted musician reveals dark secrets and whets deadly appetites. Very, very spoiler-free, that description. You did obviously write and direct this film.
Yes,
So,
sir.
with that in mind then, let's go back to the origins of the story and what your vision looked like.
Oh, sure. So, as I said previously, this is kind of a follow-up to a feature film I did that was released in 2021
Hmm.
called Morbid Colors, which was kind of a road revenge kind of vampire movie. It's essentially a vampire movie, but we almost wanted to make like a deconstructed vampire.
Hmm.
Um, so we did that, and I just really fell in love with the universe and the characters, specifically the two leads, which we see reprised here in real cool time. Devin, played by Lene Heineman, and Micah, played by Kara Gray. And we worked on that movie together, myself, Kara, and Lene, for 5 years, from
Hmm.
writing to shooting to editing to festivals to getting it with Bayview, who took it and ran with it. Um, and it was a process. And in that process, we kind of made this, collective, and got really just sucked into that universe. And then I took some time off. When you're promoting a movie, or when you're,
Ghosting.
yeah, it is. But like, I can only do one thing at a time.
Yep.
I can only give 100% of myself to one thing at a time. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but it's just the way I've always been. I can only just give it all to one thing. So when I'm promoting a movie, or when I'm like in post on a movie, I don't work on anything else. I just stay with that. And I would get ideas about other things in those, 2-3 years after production on Morbid Colors was done. And all of them still had to do with that universe.
Hmm.
And I kind of took that as a sign, like maybe you're not done. And when it came time that I wanted to work on something, I knew I wanted to do a short. I knew I wanted to do something that I could fulfill myself with creatively, but not quite the commitment that I just did. And I just said, all of the ideas I'm getting are for this universe. So I'm gonna go that route. I'm gonna get the band back together if they all want to do it, and they all did. And I'm just gonna try to have the best time making a movie possible. And I want to go in with the idea and the concept that, one, yes, it's a follow-up to Morbid Colors, but I
Hmm.
really want it to stand on its own. So if you haven't seen, the feature film first, it doesn't really affect your viewing. I mean, of
Right.
course, it's going to inform your viewing if you've seen it. There's certain things that will be a little more fleshed out, sure, but I don't want it to
Ah.
be like completely hinged on whether you've seen Morbid Colors or not. We wanted to make essentially a standalone piece that also fits into that universe and continues the story that we started, but isn't like dependent completely on it. And so that was a big goal. And also, the last two films I did, the features, Margot and Morbid Colors, they're essentially dark character dramas with
Yeah.
horror elements. This time I said, I want to go full horror. I mean, of course, I still want to make a really good character story and drama, but I want to really amp up the horror elements of this project. I want to go further with that than we did on Morbid Colors. More horror and more imagery that maybe we were missing, or not missing, but that we just didn't go for in Morbid Colors, like, and really lean into the genre and wear those stripes a little bit more prominently. And most of all, I just wanted to have fun. I just really wanted to have fun making movies with my friends, and to tell a story that I care about my favorite character that I've written yet, and that
Yeah.
was Lene's character, Devin Crane. So that's how it started.
Did you say you wanted to have fun, but would you say overall, considering it's done, you had fun then?
I had a blast. We shot
Mm.
this movie on my birthday. Everything was no stress. I mean, getting it together, like writing it, just came so easily. And it's one of the few movies where, like, I think this has happened to me twice. I wish it happened more, where you see something in your head and then you make the movie and it's exactly what you saw. It's like, this is, I got what I came for. And
Okay.
sometimes things just organically evolve and become something else. And that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means, sometimes art has its own idea about what it needs to be. That's kind of what happened with Morbid Colors. That movie evolved a lot. But I had a ball. It was a grueling shoot,
Yeah.
but I think when you're there with people that you love and trust and love to work with, the fact that you've been up for 48 hours straight or whatever it was, it doesn't matter. You're having fun, and it's no, we had a ball. The name says it all. We had a real cool time making this movie.
What did the original cut look like? Did you have to do a lot of work in the editing department? Like, was it a lot longer, and did a lot end up on the cutting room floor?
No, so I am a huge fan of Jim Jarmusch, the
Hmm.
filmmaker, and I love Stranger Than Paradise, which I think is like a masterpiece. And that whole movie is just comprised of like single take shots, and then at the essentially to edit the movie, or to put it together in post, he just took his favorite take and
Yep.
then put them all together. And I thought that was such a cool like construct for a movie. So I'm like, I want to do that, but I want it to be, obviously I want it to be much more like, I think Jarmusch's stuff was all kind of like sitting in one spot. I want to move around a little bit more, but that was kind of the springboard for me to get this idea of do all these single take shots and essentially make a movie that is 6 of those shots. Now, granted, you've seen the film, it moves a little more in the 6th scene, but
Hmm.
other than that, it's all single take stuff that we did. And I really wanted to challenge myself with that.
Hmm.
And it was a challenge. Like, you're sitting there, you've been doing the same scene for 8 hours and you're like, oh my gosh. But it was great. And at the end, it was really just that process of what scene do I like the best. And I've never made a movie like that ever. My stuff is always cut into a million pieces. There's so many, so much coverage, and we're shooting
Hmm.
from all angles and we're doing all that. So it was a different process, but it was always kind of gauged to be exactly what it was, and to run about 20-25 minutes, which is I think it's like 25 minutes flat, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Something like that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Um, what about right? So casting then. So we've mentioned the names a few times, but Linnea Hyndman and Alice Shen play the two leads,
Yeah.
Devon and Julie. Yeah. So, well, you have elaborated already. This goes back to the one with colours. But I guess so. We've got to go back there. Really, what? How did you meet? Why were they the roles you chose for them? What was the deal there?
Okay, so when I wrote Morbid Colors, I wrote
Mm,
it with Kara Gray in mind. She had come out and auditioned for me for a movie that ultimately didn't get off the ground, but I'm like, I love her. I want to work with her. She's the best. So she, ultimately became a producer as well on Morbid Colors, as did Lene. And
uh,
she introduced me to Lene because we were looking for a Devon. And she goes, okay, I know X amount of people. I'm going to send you a list. So we auditioned Lene, and then, we were off to the races. And then, of course, Lene ended up coming on as a producer too. They were very hands-on in in Morbid Colors and making it what
mm,
it was. So, I mean, we obviously, you know, got to know each other really well making that movie, did a 5-year stint on that thing.
yeah,
And, the bond was pretty much there, and they were cemented into that story and universe. So really the only casting choice I had to make with Real Cool Time, because
yeah.
Lene and Kara were going to come back and reprise those roles, was the role of Julia. And I mean, it's just kind of my there's not too many moments where I don't know who I want to play.
Ah,
So I did not do like auditions for anything for Julia. I wrote it with Alice in mind. And as before I even wrote it, because I had seen her do some stage stuff and I really liked her, and I thought she had a great energy and vibe for the whole thing. And um, I just said, hey, I'm going to write this thing. This is the character. Do you want to do it? Or are you interested? Do you want to read it when I'm done? She's like, yeah, of course. So I wrote it with her in mind. She loved it, and we ended up doing it. And it was a solid fit all the way around.
mm.
We got really lucky.
So you had ultimate, you immediately knew exactly what Lene was going to do in regards to Devon, but obviously Alice, when she took on that role, did you find that she kind of just embodied the character as you wrote it, fit that role perfectly, and you almost had to do nothing in regards to directing?
I don't, well, let me think of that answer. I mean, I was definitely working as a director, but
Yep.
it's more of a sculpting and shaping what they present. And I think everything she presented was spot on. She just, we talked about that character so much, and I wrote these bios for both Lene and Alice of their
Yeah.
character, almost like a Wikipedia page for their characters. So like
Yeah.
in Lene's, you would see, Devon's band success and like where they started and all of her music stuff. And like I wanted there to be an entire like world of lore of these two characters and how they came to know each other before the
Yep.
events of Real Cool Time, and like the rise of Devon's band, and how Julia had worked through, zines, essentially like fanzines, and then worked her way up to where she was working with the magazine she was working for in this film, and which is a fictional magazine I made up.
Yep.
And just kind of create this whole backstory for them to be like, okay, I really know, for Lene to know, okay, this is where Devon's been in the last 5 years since Morbid Colors, and for Alice to know, okay, this is who Julia is and where she comes from, and this is ultimately what she's fighting for. Because, not to give anything away too much, but that's really a big part of what makes her tick in Morbid Color, or in, I'm sorry, Real Cool Time. Kind of that need to stay on top.
Are you tempted? Have you been tempted to make that sort of stuff available, really, for reading on the internet, so as almost to expand upon the lore of the world you've created here?
I've never thought of that. That's a good idea. I still have it all. Maybe. If there's a want and a need, I'd be happy to provide it. Yeah, totally.
Well, I am learning a lot here. While I have perused your IMDb and seen Morbid Colors, Margot, and even back in 2013, you did a short called Husk. I wasn't actually aware, based on the description, that Morbid Colors was effectively a precursor to this. So now I kind of need to see that for sure. 100%. So I think and seeing that and knowing Real Cool Time and hearing you describe Wikipedia's almost to a degree for these characters, like, okay, I'm interested. If I'm interested, hopefully other people are too.
Cool, man. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that.
The film does obviously get quite intense, so we're going to dance around spoilers here. So talk to me then about directing scenes that can be quite frantic in regards keeping things like that fun as well as safe, of course.
Yeah, so safety was a really big thing on the movie because we are, the actors are essentially busting themselves around this apartment with hardwood floors and things of that nature. So it was all very carefully planned out. We did a lot of rehearsal that I can recall, for especially like the first big fight. We ran through that quite a bit before we actually shot it. And we just went through, okay, how are we going to land? Let's get it down to like where you're putting your knee and elbow with everything. And we really wanted to make sure that nobody was going to get, hurt, and that everybody was going to have a good time. Everybody did. And that it would look good too. And I got to give a lot of credit there to Jake Belinsky, who is the director of photography and producer and colorist and co-editor and so many other things on this movie. Jake is, he's a brilliant filmmaker, and I can't sing his praises enough. And he is really good at a million things, but he's great with action. And so having him behind the camera for those action sequences, I think helped make them look even more brutal and hard-hitting than maybe they actually were. So I think some of it is a little bit of movie magic, and some of it is us just carefully and methodically planning out where people are going to land and how they're going to do it safely, and how everybody's going to get up, dust themselves off, and feel okay.
Yeah. I love that movie magic. You're absolutely right. Because ultimately, you want it to make it look as real and harsh as possible. But of course,
Safe, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want you to give me your favorite moment from the entire film, but from two different perspectives. I want you to give me your favorite moment from the creator perspective, And your favorite moment from a viewer's perspective, if you can differentiate between the two.
Oh, I can. Favorite moment from a viewer's perspective is the very end,
Okay.
the very last shot.
I love
Um,
it.
that final oneer that just, well, you've seen it. So the way it
Yep.
ends, love that. It's almost a callback to the very last shot of Morbid Colors in a way,
Okay.
which I guess I'll just go ahead and say it. I have so many inspirations, but both of those kind of, the idea for that kind of came from the final shot of Halloween 2,
Oh.
2009, from Rob Zombie. And I graduated from the Rob Zombie School of Cinema, for better or
Oh,
worse.
wow.
So not, I mean, I'm just saying that as I love the guy. I love anything he
Yeah.
does. And I love Halloween 2. I'm so happy that it's not trying to get off track. I'm so happy it's getting like reassessed, because I think yeah, it was a movie that had some trouble like in its production, but I think it's awesome. And
Hmm.
I love that final shot of Laurie looking up and the smile. So that was kind of like my big inspiration for my final shots of those two films. Anyway, so that would be it from a viewer standpoint. And from a creative standpoint, I would just say seeing the continuation of Devon, and who is ultimately like probably my favorite character I've ever made, and
Yeah.
just seeing the next chapter, like as someone who is probably this universe's biggest fan, I like it. I like to see where she's going, and it's like we're getting another chapter that, you know, I probably never expected that we would get, and we're just getting
Uh,
kind of take it further. And there's more in the tank. I'll say that we're not necessarily done. So
right. Yeah, I feel like that was like the natural follow-up next question, because it does leave you wanting more. And I realize this might be as well for people who haven't seen more of the colors, but this is what we have now, real cool time. It leaves you wanting more by the end. So the natural thing is the temptation to expand upon the story. And I
right.
mean, I guess you probably you're not going to really tell me anything here, are you? But is it just temptation? Do you have something written in mind? Are you just seeing how you feel as the months tick away?
Well, the thing I've learned about movies and doing it for a while is that nothing is really real until you've done it. So we haven't done anything yet. I'm giving, like I said, I can only do 100% at one thing at a time. So I'm 100%ing the festival run and promotion of Real Cool Time right now. But um, there is a thing that we are writing, and all of
Hmm.
the needed parties are committed for the long haul, and we're probably going to be back at it later this year. I mean, we love it. We when I did Real Cool Time, I think after it was done, I'm like, okay, I know it needs to be more than this. I
Hmm.
know I need XYZ. Hey, everybody, this is what I want to do. And everybody's like, yeah, we'll see it through until the end. So this is not the last of Devin Crane. There's a journey that she needs to take. So we're gonna present that.
Say no more. Exciting stuff. Tied into that, of course, let's talk about the plans around release, festival showcases, and all of that important stuff. What can you share in regards to when this might be more widely available, or any festival showcases you do have coming up?
Oh man, I wish I had them.
Mm.
We're like right at the edge, right before hearing back on pretty much all the stuff we've submitted to. So if we
Okay.
did this in like a few weeks, I would hopefully, fingers crossed, have more information. But we've submitted to a lot of specifically horror centric festivals and conventions,
Yeah.
uh, largely throughout like the US, but we're looking to expand beyond that if we can. And yeah, fingers crossed. I love this movie. I wanted to go to as many places as it can. So we're hoping for a pretty solid run, but so far, nobody's really announced yet. Those are coming in late May and June is really when those are starting to kick off for us. We're starting to find out where it might be, but if people are interested in finding that information out, they could follow us on Instagram at I think it's at Real Cool Time Movie, and
Hmm.
we're going to post all of the updates on where we're going to be showing it and screening it and how it'll be available to people. We're going to show it there. So if anybody's interested, that's where you'll find that kind of info.
Have you submitted or contacted anyone outside the US in regards to showing it at potential? I realize film festivals, for example, in the UK are few and far between. We do have some particularly grand ones that take place in August, like Fright Fest and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wanna, oh God, I don't have the list in front of me. I want to say we did,
Mm.
but I'm not, oh boy, because we submitted to a lot of them.
Oh, fair dues. Yeah, I understand.
I wanna say we did, but I know it's on the agenda. So if we haven't yet, we are. It's just finding, it's such a weird thing. Like I'm so, I don't know, I'm so like superstitious about festivals because you're obviously, I try to budget it out. I try to make
Mm.
like a payment plan because I'm a working man.
Of
I gotta
course.
I gotta be able to afford it too. So I'm like, I gotta send it somewhere where I think where we have a like a fighting chance to get in
Yep.
because as festivals are easier to submit to. I mean, I used to be a festival organizer myself on a much smaller
Mm.
scale in my hometown. I mean, it was just a thing to do for the community. But even then, at like the micro level, it's just like, gosh, there's so much coming in. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
even navigate this? So, I mean, especially with stuff like Film Freeway, people are looking at thousands of films. So I try to send it places that I feel like it fits the
Yep.
vibe of the festival. So I am a meticulous researcher when it comes to film festivals because I love that process. I love being able to see the movie with an audience in a place built for movies like what I've made. It's a
Mm.
really rewarding thing, and you meet so many cool people. So that's a little off the point, but yes, we will try to submit something out there if we haven't already. I wish I remembered. I'm sorry. I've just been submitting to so many that I forget.
It's purely curiosity because we see Fright Fest and this Real Cool Time. I can easily see it fitting so wonderfully on the screens
Oh, cool.
that we do have over here for that. If people want to support you, I mean, we talk about real life, real job, real people, so money comes into whether we like it or not. If people could support you, is there a way that people are able to support Real Cool Time, potentially reach a wider audience?
Oh gosh, I don't know because I since I've gotten into distribution and whatnot,
Mm.
which is only in 2016, it's all been feature films. So this is going to be a really good, well, how can I say this without giving anything away? We have plans for Real Cool Time and what's coming after that might be
Yeah,
like collected into
cool.
something that is more along the lines of what I normally distribute. So
Fair
uh
enough.
I think when that time comes, we'll be ready to like get it out there as far as we can. Right now, I'm just trying to give it a really good festival run. If people want to support it, just follow us online or
Mm.
follow us, check out Morbid Colors, like or however you do on Instagram. Again, not the most tech savvy guy, not the big social media guy, but just show interest and we'll make sure that there's a way to see it for sure. If there's
Good,
an
good.
interest, we'll find a way.
Good, because it does deserve a lot of success. We've
Appreciate that.
watched a lot of horror shorts, and anything great will stand out amongst the not so great, and it is a great as a horror short. Enough so now as that I'm excited after these days interviews to spend the rest of my night watching Morbid Colors. I hope I can
Ah,
find it in the UK. Sure, I can.
yeah,
It's gonna be available somewhere.
I think it's on Amazon in the UK.
Hey, there we go. Then
There we
Amazon's got
go.
everything.
Amazon or Voodoo, give those a shot. I should
I'll
know
get
it.
back. If not, you'll get an email from me asking. So,
Yeah, no, and I will make sure that you get to see it. You've been
uh,
awesome to us. That's the least I could do.
no worries, no worries. I got one more for you then before we wrap
Yeah.
this up, and it's really just a general. What else is going on with you right now? Kind of discussed it at the start, but do you have anything else in the works that you want to talk about?
Mm, I wish I did. I just getting this movie the big push that we hope to give it, and writing the next thing. I mean, writing Devin Crane's next adventure.
Yep.
Lene and I are talking almost every day. We're like figuring it out. We're gonna start doing. I guess I'm telling more than I plan to. That's fine. I don't care. But we're gonna do prop creation, some stuff like that over the summer. This next movie is going to be a lot more ambitious than Real Cool Time. Real Cool Time
Mm-hmm.
is like in one place, and this movie is going to be uh much bigger. So
Wider.
uh
Mm.
yeah, I really want to show what the next chapter looks like, particularly what life on the road touring
Mm.
looks like for Devin Crane. And I'm
Oh,
really inspired. I love Henry Rollins, and
ah,
his books like got me through high school. And I loved like his tour diaries, like Get in the Van. So I'm like, I kind of want to make a movie like that if you were watching it, but if that person was dealing with being a vampire.
amazing. Oh my goodness me. And you've got to then get hold of Henry Rollins and get him a cameo as well. It's not like he hasn't appeared in
Yeah,
horror.
well,
He's done
I'm
horror
sure he'd love to
movies.
do that.
Incredible stuff. So yeah, real cool time. Just keep an eye on your socials and to see when it becomes available, be it film festivals or available for you to stream whatever country you're in. Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?